quite often we can get frustrated because we can't seem to manifest what we want. We're trying to call it in, but it just doesn't seem to come in. And yet we find ourselves in challenging or frustrating situations, and we get perplexed as to why this keeps happening. We feel like maybe there's something wrong with us, that we can't manifest these things that we want. But really what's happening here is that quite often what we end up manifesting is what we need and not what we want. And what we need and what we want are two very different things. And the universe is like this sort of beautiful parental guiding force of intelligence that's always trying to guide us. And we operate in life with these blind spots. We don't quite realize that they're there, and we sort of have this sort of code or this operating system that we keep living our life by. And yet there's a blind spot there that's sort of not serving our higher purpose or humanity's higher purpose. And so what the universe does sometimes is it puts us in positions of what we need rather than what we want. And it can get very frustrating because we might not be able to see that that's what's actually happening. And quite often what we'll do is we'll point our fingers out there and sort of say, if I can get rid of that problem or that person or remove this situation, then I'll go back to feeling good again. But what we've got to really start to do is have some introspection and some inquiry and ask, why is that person in my life? Why is that situation in my life? What can I learn from this? How can I grow through this experience and have gratitude that I'm actually being given what I need rather than what I want? The analogy I like to use for this is like a little boy that's sort of playing with a knife in an electric socket on the kitchen floor. He's found a knife and maybe the parents are out of the room, and he's sort of really having a good old time trying to stick that knife into this little crack in the socket. And what he wants to do is see how far he can push that knife into that point and get it as deep in as he wants to. But what he needs is actually to be removed from that situation. And so the parent might walk in, pick up the child, take the knife off them, and have some sort of discipline of some sort and remove them from the situation and exclude them from that possibility of getting what they want. And it might initially, without understanding what's going on, there'd be a deep sense of loss and frustration that they're not in a situation that they want to be in, but they're really in a situation that they need to be in. And so this is kind of like what life can be. That's very simple terms, of course, but quite often we can be put in situations that are actually what we need. So a little bit of introspection, a little bit of contemplation, inquiry, looking at what is going on here, how do I evolve, what is the blind spot that I'm missing, that this is going to help me be a better person and live a better life, and also support humanity in some way through that evolution of your own growth. Once we start to realize that, then the lesson of what we need then starts to dissolve and melt away. And it's quite interesting. You'll see these situations just suddenly just melt away as soon as we realize the lesson within it. It's quite fascinating. We can go back to starting to explore what we want.